Let's cross live now to Joburg, where Adesua Giwa Osage is standing by, covering the G20 summit in South Africa. Hello, good evening, Adesua.
Good evening, Andy. How are you doing this evening?
All right, very well indeed. Thanks for joining us. Tell us, the G20 summit without the United States, has it taken, the dows off the summit?
Absolutely not. I must say that South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has risen to the moment. He seems to be a leader not just for South Africa, but for the continent as a whole, and of course for the global South. It seems that South Africans were determined that regardless of the distractions or the detractors, particularly US President Donald Trump, that they were going to have a successful summit. Now, day one has come to a close, and most of the world leaders are probably resting up, preparing for tomorrow. US President Donald Trump had previously said that there should not be a G20 leaders declaration. That is the closest thing that you can get to a legally binding document coming out of the group of 20 world leaders, the greatest 20 economies in the world. But what Ramaphosa did was very interesting. Usually, the declaration comes at the end of the conference. It seems that he tried to prevent any type of chaos because the first thing he did after his opening remarks was to call for the adoption of the declaration. And he said that it was by what seemed like a unanimous consensus. Now, the only country that has come out against that was Argentina. Their foreign minister said they had some issues with the language, particularly when it came to Gaza, language around the crisis in Gaza, because they did speak about certain crises in the world, the DRC, Sudan, the occupied territories of Palestine. And so, this is some of the issues that they faced here. But what we're seeing is a successful G20 summit, the first ever in Africa. And we're seeing multiple world leaders from Carney from Canada, Keir Starmer from the UK, Macron from France, saying how important it is that one, it's in Africa, and two, that all the world leaders and all the countries work together to move the world actually forward.
Yes, and this one, Nigeria is taking center stage too, despite President Bola Tinubu staying back at home to face domestic matters. His vice is well represented there. Tell us, and the president is angling for a balanced and expanded fair trade in the world. His message to the G20 countries, Adesua?
Well, the message from Nigeria is one of equity and fairness. And it's not just Nigeria. We had the similar message come from Nandi Ndaitwah, the president of Namibia. Now, African countries and developing countries around the world are asking for fairness when it comes to trade and also when it comes to debt forgiveness. Debt forgiveness is a huge topic here at the G20, even with Ramaphosa speaking about the development banks, such as the World Bank and the IMF, and how these loans can sometimes be predatory and actually prevent progress instead of propel it forward. So Nigeria's message is one of equity, is very similar to the message that we had at the UN General Assembly earlier this year. Equity in trade, ownership of minerals, fairness when it comes to the international stage. And I think what is happening at the G20 is very interesting. Because America has moved itself away, it seems that people are dealing with each other on maybe a more even playing field or maybe with more honesty. Because we're seeing this new multipolar world form, we're seeing China take advantage, but we're also seeing partnerships form across the line, some that were not so strong before. We had Modi, the Indian president, meet with the Canadians. We also have similar organizations meeting together. We had the IPSA 6th meeting on the sidelines. That's India, Brazil, and South Africa meeting together to help propel the economies forward. So it seems that the global South, the countries that are usually not paid attention to, are working together and hopeful for a better future.
Yes, so a better future indeed. And you want to ask, how is Nigeria cashing in on, these new geopolitics where there is a kind of symbiotics between these countries without the police of the world? as the United States is often seen, and the rest to dictate things. Good for Nigeria and the African continent from this year's G20 summit in Joburg.
Well, one thing that's very important is there's talk and then there's action. It's yet to be seen whether some of these agreements are going to be symbolic or whether they're actually going to be effective. Now, yesterday we had Nigerian governors, head of subnationals, the governor of Nasarawa, Kaduna, of Plateau State. They came together to pitch their states for investment at the sidelines of the G20. Whether Nigeria can take advantage of the opportunities on the world stage is yet to be seen. Honestly, Nigeria has fallen from grace. If we look back to the effects that we had on the world stage in the 70s, the effect that we had in ECOWAS or ECOMOG, when Nigeria was helping fund, Angola's freedom fight, when we were helping fund the anti-apartheid movement, the role we had at the UN, we don't play that role again currently. We have to remind ourselves that we do not have diplomats on the world stage. Nigeria is practically missing. And so we're now having that gap trying to be filled by governors, trying to be filled by members of the president's cabinet. But honestly, I don't know if we can truly say that Nigeria is taking advantage of this new multipolar world. It seems we're on a back pedal and we're trying to fight to get our voices forward, particularly in the midst of our insecurity crisis and, of course, Donald Trump calling us a disgraced country.
What a shame that Nigeria is not really taking or being at the center stage without, our foreign missions functioning adequately with at the level of ambassadors. Thanks so very much, Adesua Giwa-Osage, our correspondent live at the G20 in Johannesburg. It's getting late now. I know it's well past 11 p.m., so you can go to bed and get up early tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right,
See
now.
you guys tomorrow.
Okay, bye-bye.